Welcome back, folks. Before we get into today's video, just wanted to have a little bit of a chat. My wife and I are getting a little bit busy as we're preparing to welcome our first child, and so I might not have the most amount of time to dedicate toward videos, but I'll try to get stuff out here and there. Today's video is going to be a little bit shorter, but if you haven't seen my last video posted on, I think it was Wednesday or Thursday, which was a response to Steven's toy reviews, I definitely encourage you to go check that out. I had a lot of fun making the introduction to that video. That probably took me more time than the rest of the video combined, but I had a lot of fun and I hope that you do as well. I'm currently planning the content for two videos that I'm really excited about, which will be coming out within the next month or so. Both of them are going to be a lot of fun. One of them I am really excited about. Don't want to talk too much about it just yet. It's something that I've hoped for a long time, and until I really started doing YouTube, I didn't really see how it could ever be possible, and I'm really looking forward to sharing more information with you when I have it. If you're not already subscribed, please do consider clicking the button down below, just so you know when those videos do go live. With that said, let's jump into today's video. So I was chatting with some of the folks in the community, and this question or debate kind of popped up as to what constitutes a legitimate criticism of a figure versus a nitpick. When is someone pointing out something that is genuinely wrong with the item versus somebody's just complaining for the sake of complaining? And I think it's actually a really hairy subject to try and navigate, so I'm going to try to do my best to do that. Here goes my best attempt at defining what a nitpick is. A nitpick is a criticism of a feature that does not impact the effective presentation or function of a figure. How'd I do? Do you think it's alright? I'll give you an example. If a figure comes with alternate hands and the peg on one of those hands turns out to be neon pink when the rest of the figure is not neon pink, I would consider that a nitpick, because if the peg just sits inside the arm of the figure and you never see it, then what's the use complaining about it? Whereas something like the Toho Ultimates figures having alternate heads rather than an articulated jaw, I wouldn't consider that a nitpick, because it does have to do with the function of the figure. I, unsurprisingly, think that this definition of a nitpick is reasonable, and I think that it works, but there's still a subjective nature to it. So to give you an example of the Super Mecha Godzilla figure from Super 7, the Garuda sits on the back, but the cockpit does not slide down like it does in the movie and it does on the SH Monster Arts. It just stays there while you display your figure. And this doesn't bother me because I display my figures from the front. I never see the back. I would never know if the Garuda was up, down, left, or right. Doesn't bother me. But from the perspective of somebody like a toy photographer who might take dynamic action shots of a figure like this, and might be someone who cares about movie accuracy, that would be something that really bothers them. And the reason that I'm using this specific example is because I've seen folks online saying that the Garuda not being able to move down is a point of contention that they have with the figure. I think as collectors, we all have a North Star. We all have a thing that guides us that we hope to achieve through collecting these figures. Perhaps some of us only had the movies growing up, and so the way that you see them on screen is the definitive experience that you have of these characters. For others who grew up with toys or the video games, then there's a playability to these characters that you can really appreciate, or something you can hold dear to you. Whether you care about screen accuracy, posability, playability, or stylization, different companies can offer different things, and they excel in these different areas, but none of them excel in all of these areas. As we come to care fundamentally about different things when it comes to these characters and these toys, there will also be toy reviewers who fundamentally care about different things, and that will lead to potentially wildly different interpretations of how much joy there is to be had with these figures. That's not to say that there aren't things we can't just objectively look at and agree upon. If a figure has super loose joints, I would hope that we can all agree that it makes it a less fun toy to play with. If a figure has scuffs and scrapes right out of the box, then that kind of dampens the first impression that we have with these figures. And speaking of first impressions, I try to do first impression videos on this channel rather than doing full-on reviews. I don't have the setup for full reviews, I don't have the space, and I think that there's sort of an emotional hurdle that you need to overcome in order to review with care. When I was editing the video of the Shogun Ultimates, I cut out about a collective 3 minutes of me just staring at these guys because I just adore them so much. And I don't know where I would begin doing a review of them, because I don't know what I can offer you that you can't already see with your own eyes. But while I haven't done reviews on this channel, I have done reviews of Toho Ultimates Wave 2 on my Twitter. Link is in the description below. And in those reviews, I'm trying to make it very clear that I'm only holding these figures to my own expectations, which are a combination of accuracy to the character's likeness and to the renders, and my own experience with Super 7 products. In that sense, I don't expect a whole lot of people to look at the rubric I put forward with these reviews and vibe with it, because it's so tailored to me, and it doesn't resemble scoring schemes that you might be familiar with other reviewers. But at least I'm telling you up front where my standards are, regardless of whether or not you agree with them. I can't stand numeric scores because they're fairly arbitrary, and the more I work in education, I get the sense that numeric scores are more and more meaningless. And I don't like to use scores like Jeremy John's, where he has a score of, I would buy this on Blu-ray, because I want to stay as far as possible away from advising people on how to spend their money. But even in these rubrics having to do with my expectations, I also try to include criteria that you can use to kind of look at it and build your own picture of what you might think of these figures. If we happen to care about the same values, right on, and I hope you find them useful. If we disagree on stuff, there is a plethora of really good reviewers out there, and I'm sure you'll find one that cares about the same things that you do. All of this is to say that we all care about different things because of the different lived experiences we've had. If someone cares about something that you don't, no need to dump on them. If someone hates a thing that you like, no need to try and change their mind. And most importantly, if you have a toy that you don't like, you can voice your criticisms without wishing harm on the people that work really hard to make them. I get that you might feel that you didn't receive the full value of the item that you paid money for, but shit happens. Not every toy is going to be a home run. Get over it and get over yourself. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again soon.